Indiana falls 70-67 to number 24 Michigan here at Simon Scott Assembly Hall. Peegs.com's Jeff Rabjohns, Trevor Aaronstock, Jared Kelly here to break it all down. Rabbi, let's start with the obvious elephant in the room. Dusty May returns to Assembly Hall, obviously a student manager here, but he's on the opposite sideline. Michigan leading them to the win over the Hoosiers this afternoon. Mike Woodson will not be returning next season. We learned about this news late in the week. Dusty May, obviously one of the top contenders or top candidates for the job. Just what did you make about sort of the circumstances around him being back here in the game in general?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's kind of a little bit ironic, the timing. It becomes official that Woody's not returning. First guy to come as the opposing coach to Assembly Hall, Dusty May, former IU manager, Indiana native, a guy a lot of people like, a lot of people in basketball, a lot of people at IU. He knows an awful lot of people. You saw pregame, he's talking with, Dr. Rink and Timmy G. Tim Garl, longtime trainer, so he knows a lot of people. He is one of the names that people are going to discuss. He's got a good resume. He's been to a Final Four. You can look at the hot board up there on Peegs.com. You can go through some of his key metrics. It runs a really good system. You see how there's spacing, there's movement. I thought he did a good job answering the question because, he is the head coach at Michigan, but he did, say things that everybody knows as far as, why IU is special to him. He was an IU manager. He really gets this place. He understands IU basketball. So I thought he did a really good job answering the question as far as, he praised IU and talked about the opportunity he had. I think he said something like, he noticed the ovation and he appreciated it, but he never even scored a basket here, But I think people appreciated not only his time here, but I think a lot of IU fans, have a good understanding of the game. They know what good coaching looks like. They know what good offense looks like. They know what good spacing looks like. They know what good recruiting looks like. And let's be honest, he walked in the door at Michigan, went head-to-head with Tom Izzo and a bunch of others, beat everybody for Trey McKinney and McDonald's All-American from Flint, Michigan, a place, by the way, Tom Izzo's had a little bit of success over the years. So I think people look at Dusty and they see a lot of things that make him very interesting. So it was rather ironic that he's the first guy through the door, but I thought he handled the presser really well. The clip's up. You posted the clip already on Peegs.com. People can watch his full answer. But I thought Dusty answered it really, really well. And, he's a guy, people are going to be discussing Indiana and Dusty May until there's a resolution. Maybe he's the guy. Maybe it's somebody else. But as we sit here today, he's one of the guys people are discussing.
Certainly a diplomatic answer from him. It wasn't a flat-out no, so obviously leaves the door open there.
Sure.
Trevor, on the opposite sideline, obviously a very different case for Indiana with the news that Mike Woodson will not be returning next season. I was very curious going in this game, how would the players sort of rally around? And we saw them, they fall behind by 18. They rally around in the second half. Just what did you think coming out of the locker room to start the game, just sort of their energy and how we saw, just their vibe coming out of this one?
I did think it was more subdued. You saw Mike Woodson start the game sitting down on the bench, and you have not seen that happen throughout his tenure at Indiana. He's always up and walking the sideline, talking to his guys, talking to the refs. But he started the first few minutes of the game on the bench, sitting down relatively quietly. And then, once the game got, progressed a little bit, he started getting up a little bit more. But for the most part, I thought he was more subdued. The players, I thought, were basically the same. I mean, they didn't come out with incredible energy to, fight for their coach or anything. But this is a team that has gotten behind early and fought back many times this year. And to use Mike Woodson's phrase, could not get over the hump against, most of them. But they do have that competitive fire where they do fight back when they are down. Like, a lot of people like to rip this team for not being competitive enough, not tough enough. But they have stuck with games when they're down 15, 20 points, made it a game, had a chance to win, and then just didn't make the plays in the end to pull out the victory. But I thought overall it was status quo for what we've seen from this Indiana team throughout the season.
Post-game, Rabbi, we were told, obviously, Mike Woodson was not going to answer any questions about the decision to not retain him after this season. Just what did you make about that? And then sort of his comments post-game. One of the comments he made was, I haven't put the team in position to win games. Well, that's probably part of the reason that you're not returning next season.
Right. I'm probably going to get in trouble for saying this, but I thought it was awfully soft that he goes up there and doesn't address this. I really did. You're the head coach of Indiana University, one of the marquee programs, not in college basketball, but in all sports in America. You're not going to return. They put out a statement with no quotes from you. You speak to the media post-game, first public appearance after it has been announced you're not returning, and you won't even talk about it. I just thought it was really, really soft. Whatever he wants to say, he's the coach. He has a right to say what he wants. He does. But to just say you're not going to say anything, I thought it was unbelievably soft. I thought it did the fans a disservice. The fans still have a lot of questions. The statement didn't answer anything other than, I put a story up the day before, I think it was. Days are running together, but at least a number of hours before that, the decision's been made, it's done. So everybody knew that it was done. The statement, the only thing in the statement was basically, we're going to let him finish the year on the bench as the coach. Okay, fine. People agree, disagree, whatever. But you're the head coach and you go up there, your first public media session, and you say, I'm not going to talk about anything. And you make your, you make your poor SID make that announcement and everything. And I just thought it was unbelievably soft. I really did. I thought it was really soft that he wouldn't even address even basic questions. How did you come to this decision? Why did you decide you wanted to coach it out? Why do you think your 4-year tenure didn't produce anywhere near the results you wanted? You walked in the door saying, I want to win national titles and Big Ten titles, and he never came close. I know on paper he finished second in the Big Ten that one year, but it was second by like 3 games. They weren't close to winning it. No meaningful NCAA tournament success. So as an incredibly high-profile employee in college sports, an incredibly highly paid employee in the state of Indiana, you should answer questions, at least basic questions. So it was soft to not answer questions. It was really soft.
I do think it's wild that there is not a single quote from Mike Woodson about his so-called retirement.
Right.
Like nothing in the press release, no press conference prior to this game, and then don't answer questions about the retirement tonight. I mean, that's pretty wild to think about.
And at the end of the day, all that does is raise more questions. Yeah. When there are clear questions, the basketball coach at Indiana has been, quote, retired, unquote, but he will finish the season. And there's no quotes from that guy, no explanation. I mean, it's a crazy situation. And really, all it does is create more questions. Well, why isn't he talking? What's going on behind the scenes? I mean, I think everybody's aware that we're using the word retirement very loosely, okay? Everybody's aware of that. So for him not to talk, that was pretty bizarre.
And we still got 6 weeks left to play out, so it makes you wonder when he is going to finally comment on this. But, Trevor, really quickly, I did want to touch on the game because Indiana, like you mentioned, they fought back, down 18 in the first half. The zone defense really worked for them in the second half, really gave Michigan some trouble. And then once they went away with one big lineup like they have this year, they found some success offensively. Just what did you see from IU this year, today?
Well, I like that Anthony Leal did a good job on Danny Wolf. Putting an undersized guy on him really – it works well because he's quicker than Wolf. He can beat him to the spot. And then you have a guy like Leal who's strong enough to push him away from the hoop as well. So thought that move was a good one. And then the zone really affected Michigan. It really took Trey Donaldson out of the game. He had 14 points in the first half. I think he only finished it with 18. Really slowed him down. So the zone defense was a great move by Mike Woodson. They made some really good moves. It's always good to see Mackenzie Mbako hit the boards, ends up with 11 tonight. A few on the offensive end. When he's doing that, he's really engaged to the game. His production goes up a step or two, and IU's going to look pretty good when he's hitting the glass that hard. So overall, there are some good spots. Like Malik Renew looked closer to 100% tonight. We have not seen anything close to that since he's returned to the lineup after his injury against Rutgers on January 2nd. So that's good to see. But again, they fight back, make it a game, but can't pull it out in the end.
And that's been the theme of the season, really. Rabbi, wrap this up. 7 games left, and then whatever you got in the Big Ten tournament, maybe NCAA tournament, we'll see. As a player, if you're playing for Indiana, you don't have your head coach sort of making any kind of answering any questions. Like, how do you go about these next 7 games if you're a player for IU?
You play for your university. You play for the jersey. You play for your school. You play for your teammates. You play if this is your last year of college basketball. You play to have as many good memories as you can. You play to give the fans as many good memories as you can. They're sitting there well outside the bubble right now, but they do play some quad one teams here that if you pull off some upsets, they could get back to the bubble. I know it's highly unlikely. I know what the percentages are, but if you're a player, you're looking at it going, okay, we still have several weeks left in our season. My jersey says Indiana. I'm going to go out there and bust my butt and see if we can at least give the fans and ourselves, our teammates, the university, some good moments as we head out the door. I think that's the way you handle it.
Well, to build on that, too, I mean, these players are making good money now. You are playing basically like you're a pro, where you're playing for your next paycheck as well, either overseas, in a true professional league, maybe like a Luke Goody or Umar Ballo, or for your next NIL contract, basically. So you have to not only continue to produce, but you do have to fit into the offensive system and play for the team, like Rabbi's saying, in order to really maximize your next deal that you get next year.
In a way, it's a contract year. It really is. It's some guys in a contract year whose team's not going to go to the NFL playoffs, but they can still earn some more money. I mean, it's crazy that that's the way it is, but that's the way it is.
We'll see what Indiana can do here down the stretch. 7 games remaining. But for today, Indiana falls 70-67 to number 24, Michigan, here at Assembly Hall. Obviously, a lot more to come on the coaching search and then with the rest of Indiana season. So stay locked into Peegs.com. Jeff Rabjohns, Trevor Anstrike, Jerry Kelly. We'll see folks over on the site.